look, I was speaking to ministers and officials overnight about all of this. And I have to say, there was, in the first instance, almost euphoria that the baseline tariff that is being imposed on the UK is the minimum that is imposing anywhere. It's 10%. And if you compare that with 20% imposed on the European Union and the way higher rates imposed on, Japan, India, China, as I've been saying, South Africa. For the UK, they think that looks like a win. But I've got a number of concerns about that initial reaction. One of them is that the argument of the British government when negotiating a trade deal with Donald Trump is that the UK has fair and balanced trade with the US, that we're not taking advantage, that we don't levy disproportionate tariffs, and that we don't have other methods, non-tariff barriers, of discriminating against American exporters. And actually, the data would suggest that is true. But despite that, he is levying 10% on all our exports and 25% on exports of motor cars and 25% on steel. These are painful taxes, in effect, on our companies. Some of these tariffs may simply be absorbed by British companies, by cutting their pre-tariff price and taking, therefore, a lower profit margin. And a lower profit margin means less money to pay our workers and less investment. Okay, so this is very painful for British business. It is why Prime Minister and the Business Secretary, Johnny Reynolds, will be having what is, in effect, emergency conversations with all sorts of business leaders to reassure them that, the government has their back, and to make an assessment of whether any individual business will end up in very serious trouble and may need government support, which we cannot rule out. And so, in a way, that euphoria, to get back to that sort of sense of euphoria that ministers felt, it feels to me a bit like, and I've used this analogy a few times, the kid in the playground, the bully comes up to them, nicks their lunch money, and it's a kid who then takes comfort from the fact that he saw the bully then take considerably more from another kid. I mean, we've still been mugged, and there'll still be a price to pay.